Hello demigods, mortals, and monsters. It's your friendly neighborhood demigod lover, and today we are talking about prophecies. Now, general consensus, we don't like prophecies. The three most common things they tend to foreshadow are death, betrayal, and your fate lying in the hands of someone you do not trust. So yeah, generally prophecies just kind of bite. Low-key though, who else misses the early Percy Jackson days when prophecies actually offered really cool and interesting foreshadowing about the story instead of just driving the plot? I mean, listen to these prophecy lines. You shall fail to save what matters most in the end. The Titan's curse must one withstand, and one shall perish by parent's hand. You shall lose a love to worse than death, an oath to keep with a final breath, and foes bear arms to the doors of death. Anyways, yeah, prophecies are deadly, but you gotta admit they're also pretty cool. So I thought I'd make a video dissecting and explaining every single prophecy from Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Heroes of Olympus, Trials of Apollo, Magnus Chase, and I would include the Kane Chronicles, but those books don't have prophecies. So, just in case you guys wanted a refresher or you're bored. Note that I won't be resuming the actual plots of the books, just the prophecies in them. Starting with the Lightning Thief's prophecy, delivered by everyone's favorite creepy mummified oracle to none other than Perseus Jackson. You shall go west and face the god who has turned. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely return. You shall be betrayed by the one who calls you friend, and you shall fail to save what matters most in the end. The first line refers to how Percy, Annabeth, and Grover must go from Camp Half-Blood in New York to the underworlds, for which the entrance is in Los Angeles. Therefore, they're going west. They believe that the god who has turned is Hades, but in reality, it's Ares. The stolen object is Zeus's master bolt, and Percy sees it safely returned. In the last chapter, he is betrayed by Luke, who tries to poison him with a scorpion. Luke had previously been kind to him and acted as a friend. What matters most to Percy is his kind and loving mother, who he must sadly leave in the underworld. Later on, when she is returned home, he wants to save her by using Medusa's head to murder Gabe, her abusive husband, but can't. As she explains that she can't let anyone save her and get rid of all her problems. She has to save herself, and for that reason, Percy is not the one to save her. Next prophecy, this time from Sea of Monsters and given to Clarice. Percy and the gang weren't supposed to come, they just kind of said F the rules and went on the quest anyway. You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone, you shall find what you seek and make it your own, but despair for your life entombed within stone, and fail without friends. To fly home alone. Clarice sails the Sea of Monsters on a Confederate boat with Confederate zombies. They are skeletons, thus making them warriors of bone. If you ask me, fighting for slavery is the work of a coward more than a warrior, but whatever. She's looking for the Golden Fleece, which she finds and makes it her own, or more accurately, claims the name of the camp. Things go downhill when she and Grover get trapped in a cave behind a boulder by Polyphemus the Cyclops, thus entombing her in stone. She would have failed her quest without Percy, Annabeth, Tyson, and Grover, who, though she is hesitant to admit it, are her friends. She flies home alone in a plane with the Fleece as they had enough cash for only one flight. Next up, the prophecy delivered to Zoe Nightshade in the Titan's Curse, but Dirk did it, no one in particular. 5 shall go west to the goddess in chains, 1 shall be lost in a land without rain. The bane of Olympus shows the trail, campers and hunters combined prevail, the Titan's curse must one withstand, and 1 shall perish by parent's hand. The 5 to go on this quest were Grover Underwood, Thalia Grace, Zoe Nightshade, Bianca D'Angelo, and Percy Jackson. Percy wasn't supposed to be the quest 5th member, a huntress named Phoebe was, but she got sick and Percy tagged along with all the others despite their protests. Bianca sacrifices herself and dies in the junkyard of the gods, which is located in a desert. A land without rain. When the gang is sort of lost or drained or they don't know where to go, a sea creature called the Ophiotaurus shows up and points them in the right direction. It's prophesied that if someone could kill it and sacrifice its entrails, that person would have the power to destroy the gods, so it is thus considered the bane of Olympus. Thalia, Grover, and Percy are campers, and Bianca and Zoe are hunters. The quest couldn't have succeeded if not for all these people. Campers and hunters generally hate each other and don't get along, so that line was important to establish the fact of, honey, you've got to work together whether you like it or not. No one asks for or cares about your opinion in the matter. The Titan's Curse refers to the burden of the Titan Atlas. Due to his role in the first war of the Titans against the gods, he was punished by the gods and had to hold up the sky forever. For a time during the battle against him, one member of the quest, Percy, would have to withstand carrying his punishment, his curse. Zoe is a former Hesperides, therefore a daughter of Atlas. She is actually killed due to being bitten by the dragon Ladon, but she fights her father, who gives her the final blow and kind of pushes her from injury to death. Next up, the Battle of the Labyrinth prophecy given to Annabeth. You shall delve in the darkness of the endless maze, the dead, the traitor, and the lost one raise. You shall rise or fall by the ghost king's hand, the child of Athena's final stand, destroy with a hero's final breath, and lose a love to worse than death. The Labyrinth is a dark underground maze that exists across the entire surface of the earth and is always twisting and changing, making it endless. Nico can raise ghosts of the dead and does so many times in the book, namely he summons the ghosts of Theseus, Bianca, and Minos. The traitor is supposedly Ethan Nakamura, one of the demigods who betrayed Camp Half-Blood, who appears in this book and still sides with Kronos after Percy saves his life. The traitor could also be Luke, who is obviously a traitor at this point in the story, and who rises from the coffin of Kronos, merging with him. The lost one is Pan, god of the wild, who was missing for thousands of years but finally raises in this this book and talks to Grover and his friends. The Ghost King originally refers to Minos, quite literally a ghost who was an ancient Greek king when he was alive. But Nico takes the title from Minos by killing him, and later on, Nico summons a wall of black stone, giving himself, Percy, Annabeth, and Rachel a chance to escape the labyrinth alive. It's a risk, as it exposes to Kronos that Nico is the son of Hades, information that had priorly been a secret, therefore making Nico a target. The child of Athena is Daedalus, thankfully not Annabeth. He makes his final stand by killing himself. You see, his life force is connected to that of the labyrinth. That's how he has lived since the days of ancient Greece without dying of old age. This doesn't make him immortal, like if you stabbed him, he'd still die, but the labyrinth would be destroyed along with him. He dies a hero by killing himself to destroy the labyrinth and preventing Camp Half-Blood from being overwhelmed by monsters that are incessantly overrunning the camp by entering through the maze. Annabeth loses Luke, someone who was like a big brother to her and whom she loved, by him fusing with Kronos, a fate worse than death. Finally, the prophecy of the last Olympian, the Great Prophecy, one that is directed at no one in particular but just kind of shows up causing problems. A half-blood of the eldest gods shall reach 16 against all odds and see the world in endless sleep. The hero's soul cursed blade shall reap, a single choice shall end his days, Olympus to preserve or raise. You guys know this one, why am I even explaining it? Okay, so the eldest gods are Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. When Percy, who is Poseidon's son, reaches 16, the war against the Titans happens. He sees the world in endless sleep because the mortals in New York City, where the battle is happening, have been put into a deep sleep by Morpheus, god of dreams, to protect them from the battle. It isn't permanent, but it's considered endless because it's a magical sleep and they can't wake up from it until when and if the gods and demigods win against the Titans. The cursed blade is Annabeth's dagger. Cursed because it represents Luke's promise to Annabeth years ago that Luke, Annabeth, and Thalia would always be a family. Luke's betrayal makes the dagger cursed. Luke sacrifices himself, making him a hero, by killing himself with the dagger and by extension killing Kronos. Luke's days are ended by Percy's choice to give him the dagger, saving Olympus. Next, the Prophecy of Seven, the other great prophecy, whatever you want to call it. It is spoken by Rachel Elizabeth Dare just after she becomes the Oracle at the end of the last Olympian and refers to the events of the Heroes of Olympus books. 7 half-bloods shall answer the call. To storm or fire the world must fall. An oath to keep with the final breath and foes bear arms to the doors of death. The 7 are Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, Jason Grace, Piper McLean, Hazel Levesque, Frank Zhang, and Leo Valdez. If we're talking about people who played crucial roles in the war against the Giants, it would be more like 9 half-bloods and a satyr, because Nico, Rain, and Coach Hedge are definitely really important in that whole thing, but whatever. To storm or fire means to Jason or Leo, since Jason can control storms and Leo can control fire. In the end, it ends up being fire, because Leo uses his fire powers to destroy Gaia, aka the Earth, aka the world. The oath to keep is Leo's promise on the river Styx that he made to Calypso that he would come back for her. Only by dying in the explosion could he, or rather his bronze dragon, find her island a second time and cheat the no man may find Ogygia twice rule. Premature burning maze spoiler, some people believe that this line is actually referring to Jason's death, which does make sense because the exact words are with a final breath. And if you come back from the dead like Leo, it's not really your final breath. In this case, the oath would either be Lester's promise to Jason about remembering what it's like to be human, or Jason's promise to Piper in Mark of Athena that he would always protect her. The last line refers to Percy and Annabeth in Tartarus, working together with Bob the Titan and Demas and the Giant. Demigods typically don't get along with Titans, typically don't get along with Giants, typically don't get along with demigods, but they all work together to reach the doors of death. Moving on to the lost hero, the prophecy given to Jason. Child of lightning, beware the earth. The giant's revenge the 7 shall birth, the forge and dove shall break the cage, and death unleashed through Hera's rage. Jason is the son of the god of lightning and the leader of the quest, who must beware the earth because Gaia, the evil Mother Earth, is awakening. The rising of the giants against Olympus will bring together the 7 legendary demigods. The forge is the symbol of Hephaestus, and the dove is the symbol of Aphrodite, and the 2 demigods who accompany Jason on his quest and who break the cage where Hera is trapped in are the daughter of Aphrodite and the son of Hephaestus. When Hera is out of her cage, she is understandably quite angered at being imprisoned and destroys a bunch of monsters at the wolf house. In the next book, The Son of Neptune, Ella the harpy, who has somehow found and read the books of Sibyllin, ancient books of prophecy, makes her first appearance. She gives Frank part of her prophecy. To the north beyond the gods lies the Legion's crown. Falling from ice, Son of Neptune shall drown. The Legion's crown is actually the Legion's eagle, but it's referred to as a crown because it makes the Legion more powerful and is a symbol of honor. It lies north in Alaska. Falling from the ice-covered ground in Alaska, Percy, the son of Poseidon, so he could be considered the son of Neptune, falls into a muddy kind of quicksand which Hazel refers to as muskeg. Muskeg isn't exactly water, meaning that Percy can drown in it, and he does, though he survives. In the next book, The Mark of Athena, Ella reveals a new prophecy. Wisdom's daughter walks alone. The mark of Athena burns through Rome. Twin snuff out the angel's breath who holds the key to endless death. The giant's bane stands golden pale, one with pain from a woven jail. Annabeth is the daughter of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and she has a solo quest to retrieve the Athena Parthenos that no one can help her with. The symbol of the mark of Athena glows bright red like a fire, making it seem like it burns through several places in Rome, as we see in Annabeth's quest. The twin giants, Ephialtes and Otis, imprison Nico in a bronze jar, where he slowly runs out of oxygen and nearly dies. The prophecy refers to him as an angel because his last name is D'Angelo, and Angelo is Italian for angel. Nico holds the key to endless death because at this point in the story, the doors of death are open, meaning that the dead can walk right back into the world of the living, which is not supposed to happen. But Nico has learned where the doors are and how to close them, meaning that he holds the key to making death permanent again like it's supposed to be. The giant's bane is the Athena Parthenos, a golden ivory statue that Annabeth must find. It's the key to uniting the camps, which is the only way to heal the gods and their split personalities, which in turn is the only way to kill the giants, since giants can only be killed by a god and demigod working together. Annabeth defeats Arachne and gets the statue by tricking the giant spider lady into weaving her own jail. The next prophecy doesn't get spoken until one of the spin-offs, Magnus Chase, spoken by the Norns. Wrongly chosen, wrongly slain, a hero Valhalla cannot contain. 9 days hence the sun must go east, ere sword of summer unbinds the beast. Magnus is wrongly chosen by Semira al-Abbas, the Valkyrie, and brought to Valhalla, or so everyone believes. A Valkyrie named Gunilla alters the footage of Sam's soul collecting to make it seem like Magnus didn't actually do anything other than die. Valhalla therefore deems his death unworthy of being in Valhalla, and he is wrongly chosen, wrongly slain. This could also be referencing the fact that Magnus is wrongly chosen by Loki, who chooses him to help him start Ragnarok, but Magnus doesn't help him. Him being wrongly slain could also refer to how Blitz and Hearth were given the job of protecting Magnus and keeping him alive by Mimir. Magnus leaves Valhalla for his mission, which is why it cannot contain him. He also has 9 days to complete his quest. Sumerbrander/Jack cuts the magical rope on the Fenrir's wolf, before retying him on said quest. Now we're on to the Trials of Apollo books. There are 2 prophecies in the Hidden Oracle. They come from the trees in the Grove of Dodona. The first one isn't a prophecy so much as a bunch of random phrases, some of which are relevant and contain prophetic knowledge, and some of which are not. The relevant ones are: Caves of Blue, Westward Turning, Pages Burning, Indiana, Happiness Approaches. The Oracle of Trophonius, which is encountered by Lester and Meg in the next book, The Dark Prophecy, is located in the Blue Spring Caverns. California, which is west of pretty much everything, is burning due to media throwing around Titan fire, belonging to the Titan Helios and killing the Dryads. The Turning Pages is a possible reference to the Sibylline books, which become relevant in the Tyrant's Tomb. The characters' adventure in The Dark Prophecy takes them to Indiana. And near the end of this book, The Hidden Oracle, Festus the Bronze Dragon arrives, and Festus is Latin for happy. The second prophecy is a little more straight to the point. There was once a god named Apollo who plunged in a cave blue and hollow. Upon a 3-seater, the bronze fire eater was forced death and madness to swallow. The first line is self-explanatory, and the second one is basically about the cave of Trophonius, where the Oracle of Trophonius is. Like I said, it's in the Blue Spring Caverns, and there just had to be a bad pun involved. Festus is a bronze dragon that breathes fire and seats 3 people. Furthermore, in order to save Meg McCaffrey from the plague of Trophonius, Lester uses mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to draw the I cannot do these words. Lester uses mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to draw the hallucinatory plague smoke, hallucinatory, I did it! Plague smoke that represents death and madness out of Meg's lungs. Near the end of the book, we get a dark prophecy, the namesake of the book, delivered by the Oracle of Trophonius through Meg. The words that memory wrought are set to fire, ere new moon rises o'er the devil's mount. The Changeling Lord shall face a challenge dire, till bodies fill the Tiber beyond count. Yet southward must the sun now trace its course, through mazes dark to land of scorching death, to find the master of the swift white horse, and wrest from him the crossword speaker's breath. To westward must the Lester go, Demeter's daughter finds her ancient roots, the cloven guide alone the way does know, to walk the path in thine own enemy's boots. When 3 are known and the Tiber reached alive, 'tis only then Apollo starts to jive. The first verse is about the events of Book 4, The Tyrant's Tomb. The Sibylline books, which are books of prophecy at Camp Jupiter, are at risk of being burned by Tarkin on the new moon of Mount Diablo, where Camp Jupiter is located. The Changeling Lord refers to everyone's favorite shapeshifter Frank Zhang, who must face the dilemma of having to destroy one of the emperors, Caligula, with fire and burning up the piece of firewood that controls his own life in the process. Thankfully, he does not die, though there was a good chance he could have. The Tiber is the Little Tiber, meaning the river that surrounds Camp Jupiter. Bodies fill the Tiber because a lot of people die in the battle, or it could mean that everyone would die if Frank fails at his task, which he doesn't. The second and third verses are about the events of the Burning Maze, Book 3. Apollo/Lester is the sun god who must go to California, which is south of Indiana. He also has to go into the dark maze of the Labyrinth, which the media is manipulating and filling with Titan fire, specifically the essence of Helios, killing the trees and dryads in California, hence the term scorching death. Lester must find the Emperor Caligula, the master of the horse Incitatus, and take back the Oracle of Erythraia, please go ahead and be mad at me for mispronouncing that, from him, who speaks prophecies in the form of crossword puzzles. He must, like I said, go to California, which is in the west, and find the quote-unquote palace of the emperor, which is actually 50 huge yachts, so I don't know why they called it a palace, but sure, buddy. Demeter's daughter is Meg McCaffrey, who grew up in Ithales, which she finds again in this book. The Cloven Guide is a satyr, specifically Grover Underwood. Now, the prophecy uses the term knows the way pretty loosely, since Grover just sort of goes wherever and ends up leading them to the right place. It is the Labyrinth, after all, so even if Grover knew where their final destination was supposed to be, it wouldn't do too much. In order to find Hierophile the Oracle, Lester needs to walk in the boots of Caligula, for complicated reasons, who is obviously his enemy. When he gets to Camp Jupiter in the Tyrant's Tomb and reaches the Little Tiber, or in this prophecy, the Tiber, knowing the identities of all three emperors of the evil triumvirate, things finally start to look up. And I guess jive means victory dance? Camp Jupiter is also saved from the evil forces waging war against it, and at the end of the book, Lester's final trial begins, finding his way to defeat Python and becoming Apollo again. Near the end of the Burning Maze, Lester receives a prophecy about the next leg of his journey, a prophecy coming into play in the Tyrant's Tomb. Bronze upon gold, east meets west, legions are redeemed, light the depths. One against many, never spirit defeated, ancient words spoken, shaking old foundations. Destroy the tyrant, aid the winged, under golden hills, great stallions full. Turn red tides, hearken the trumpets, enter strangers' home, regain lost glory. This prophecy is vague and unexplained to my knowledge, but you can look for what it might mean. Here's what we know. The first two lines seem to be a reference to the Greek and Roman camps, perhaps a reference to the fact that the communication between the camps have shut down, but are working again by the end of the book. Celestial bronze is the main monster-killing weapon for the Greeks, and imperial gold is the main monster-killing weapon for the Romans. Plus, Camp Half-Blood is in the east of the United States, Camp Jupiter in the west. I guess you could say that the Legion is redeemed after some battles that take pretty heavy toll on it, since the emperors fighting the Romans die. This means that Nero is the only emperor left, and all our main characters are focused on defeating him by the end of the book, which might explain one against many. The two people defeated in this book are the emperors, and since they had sort of made themselves into minor gods, I guess you could call them never spirits. The ancient words spoken might be talking about the reviving of oracles that have been silent for so many centuries. Shaking old foundations could mean severely damaging the Roman population like the battle did. Tarquin, the tyrant and namesake of the book, is gone for good by the end. Lester frees two brutalized and abused Pegasi, who are winged creatures, from the cruelty of the emperors. Under Golden Hills could mean Lester going underground to Tarquin's tomb with Hazel, Lavinia, and Meg. Sounding the trumpets could mean the battles fought in this book, maybe? Turning red tides might mean how things are looking up and the emperors are destroyed. Red is a symbol of violence and bloodshed in literature, so changing the red tides could mean putting an end to the violence by killing two of the main people responsible. Enter Stranger's Home could mean entering Nero's Tower in the final book, or entering Tarquin's tomb in this book or something. The last line could mean the Legion's aforementioned lost glory, or Apollo regaining his godhood in book 5, who knows. Anyways, the first letters of these lines spell out Bellona's daughter, meaning Rhaena. The gang also unravels a prophecy saying Apollo faces death in Tarquin's tomb unless the doorway to the soundless god is opened by, so, together, it means Apollo faces death in Tarquin's tomb unless the doorway to the soundless god is opened by Bellona's daughter. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Rhaena saves the day by opening the doorway to the god of silence, Harpocrates, on Sutor Tower. One small prophecy from the Sibylline books through Ella's memory and tattooed into Tyson's skin is this. A wildcat near the spinning lights, a tomb of Tarquin with horses bright, to open his door, 254. This prophecy refers to the merry-go-round in Tilton Park just off Wildcat Drive, with the year 254 BCE as the code to open the entrance to Tarquin's tomb. The final prophecy I'll be talking about in this video, the one prophesizing the events of the Tower of Nero, has different parts coming from different places. The Sibylline books, through Ella's memory and tattooed into Tyson's skin, a random two-headed snake in a quiet car, the Grey Sisters in their taxi, and Python speaking through Rachel. It is seemingly spoken by Python and directed at Lester. O son of Zeus, the final challenge face, the Tower of Nero to alone ascend, dislodge the beast that has usurped thy place, the son of Hades, Cavern friend, must show the secret way into the throne. On Nero's own your lives do now depend. A dare reveals the path that was unknown, and bears destruction, lion snake entwined, or else the princeps never be o'erthrown. Apollo's flesh and blood shall soon be mine, alone must he descend into the dark. The Sibyl never again to see his sign, lest wrestle with me till his final spark. The god dissolves, leaving not a mark. Lester, or rather Apollo, is the son of Zeus, and taking down Python is his final trial to regaining his godhood. At a certain point in the story, Lester and Meg take an elevator up to the top floor, or one of the top floors, or something, of Nero's tower. The beast is Python, who has taken over Apollo's sacred oracle of Delphi. Nico is obviously the son of Hades in the prophecy, and he is friends with the troglodytes, creatures who live in underground caves and can run really fast. One troglodyte leads Meg and Lester to Nero's tower. Lester and Meg's lives, depending on Nero's own, refers to them getting help from one of Nero's most trusted fighters, Lugazilla, the dare who reveals the path is Rachel, since her last name is Deer, and she has a ton of blueprints and stuff for Nero's tower. She later walks into the throne room of Nero carrying his fasces, aka his symbol of power. The fasces is guarded by a creature with a lion's head and surrounded by snakes. If they don't destroy the fasces, Nero can't die. Nero is a princeps, meaning someone who is of Roman royalty bloodline, which being an ancient emperor of Rome, he obviously is. The last bit is about how Lester must descend alone into Python's dark cave and fighting him, wrestling him to the death and dissolving. He is then reborn in his godly form. The Sibyl never again seeing a sign from him might be that Python hopes to destroy the Oracle and control the future, breaking Apollo's connection to prophecy and making him never again see his Sibyl. Anyways, that's all the prophecy stuff I've got for you guys today. I'll see you all in a week. Bye!